Okay, so this is Pixlr video number 3, and we're going to look at the last few tools over here below the tools we've been using. So we're basically in this section for this video. First tool is the blur tool, and for the blur tool, I'm going to use this image of a kitten here that I created for one of my classes. And basically what I'm going to use that for is I'm going to zoom in on this elephant head here. I'm going to click on the blur tool, and basically I just use that to kind of blur the sharp edges of where I have the elephant meeting the kitten fur. And I just probably use a smaller brush for this. And you might not be able to tell exactly what's going on right away, but just use short little strokes to try to blur it so it doesn't look as much of a difference in the sharpness from the elephant head to the background and the elephant head to the kitten body. So that's blur. Next to blur, you have sharpen. For sharpen, I'm going to use this image of a fish. And for sharpen, basically, you just kind of make things pop a little bit. So I'm just drawing some quick strokes over this, and it's going to make the fish stand out even more than it already does from that blurry background. And again, some of these are very subtle, and I'm just using quick strokes here, a lot of clicks, a lot of dragging. I'm not just coloring it like I'm using a marker or a crayon. And you can control the strength up here. So if you just want a little bit of sharpness, you would choose a smaller number, and of course the different brushes. Then we have the smudge tool, and for that I'm going to use this picture of Betty White. Now Betty White has earned her wrinkles, but we're going to help her get rid of them by using the smudge tool. So I want to grab a brush that's going to be not too big, not too small. That's pretty good. And I'm going to zoom in on some of those wrinkles here. All right, let's bring this over here. So I'm just going to basically draw over top of them with some quick, short strokes. And it's going to blur her face. It's going to make it look a little bit. You might want to move my strength a little bit. I'm going to bring that back down here. Get rid of my smudges and bring the strength down just a little bit because it's a little bit too intense there. And basically I'm just flattening out the wrinkles. Now when it's zoomed in, it looks really bad. When it's zoomed out, it should look a little bit better. It's going to look like she's maybe needs to sleep a little bit. But when I zoom out, oops, a little dark there, but there is a tool we can use to lighten that as well. But it doesn't look nearly as wrinkled on the right side of her face, our left, as it does on the left side of her face, our right. Next to that is the sponge tool, and for the sponge I'm going to go back to my kitten, and I'm going to zoom out. And you can pause at any point and try these tools out or try them all out at once. And with the sponge tool, it's going to either desaturate or saturate the colors. So if I desaturate the colors, notice how it's turning it darker. And if I undo that and I saturate the colors, it's going to make it lighter, or really make the colors stand out. It's going to give it a lot more orange than it was. So the computer basically finds what the dominating color is of what you're drawing on top of, and it makes that color really stand out. So if I went to the elephant layer and I use saturate, well, it's also going to pick like a brownish, orangish color for that as well. Below the smudge and sponge tool are the dodge tool and the burn tool, and for that I'm going to go back to my fish and I'm going to undo all those sharpens that I did. And for dodge, you click on that and that will lighten the colors. You might not be able to see it very easily, but it's definitely giving a more dull orange than it was before. Basically undoing all that sharpening that I did manually. And if you choose, let me undo all that. If you choose burn instead, then that's going to darken the color. So it's really going to make it a little bit more brown, a little less orange. Okay, so really making it appear as if there's a dark color, a little bit less light surrounding the fish. And then below the burn tool, I'm not going to mention red eye because that's pretty simple to understand. Talk about the spot heal tool, and for that I'm going to go back to Betty White. So Betty White here, I'm just using her as an example because I needed somebody with wrinkles. Sorry, Betty, but you've earned them, like I said. All right, so she's got a couple imperfections in her skin here, like this one right here, and this one over here. I've showed you before how to use the clone stamp to get rid of it, but the spot heal, when used correctly, is even better. So I'm going to make my spot heal just a little bit bigger, size right up here. And what it can do is it can generate a pattern, or it can blend with nearby colors. So if I just click on this little imperfection on her skin, it just makes it disappear that easily. And I can go over to this one over here, and it just looks at the colors surrounding it, and those are all gone. And if I find any other problems, like if there's a mole or if there's a zit or something like that, you can use that, the spot heal tool, just with one click you can remove problems like that. So if she had something on her teeth, like if I zoom in really tight, it looks like maybe she's got some tooth decay here, which is understandable when you're her age. Always brush your teeth, kids. And there you go. When I zoom out, you're not going to see that little bit of tooth decay anymore. Pretty awesome. So try out those different tools in this part here and create your own Frankenmonster using any of the pictures that are in the share drive in the Pixlr folder. Good luck. Enjoy. Also, don't forget, when you're saving, make sure you're logged in to Pixlr. We created an account last time. And File, Save. Save it to Pixlr Library, and make sure it's a PXD. And then click OK when you're ready to save. Do that every time you want to save, and that way it'll stay on the Pixlr site. And like I just said, enjoy. Good luck. Remember, I'm not looking for perfection. Just try out the tools.